We saw a couple pages ago that there are a few percentiles that are so important they have their own names. They're the natural cutoff points for the 25th, 50th, and 75th percentiles. So P25, P50, and P75, which are called the quartiles, right? Because a quarter of the data is below this one, another quarter is between these two, another quarter is between these two, and then the last quarter. So those are called the quartiles. Now the quartiles aren't the quarters, right? The quarters are the data in between. So over here we have the minimum. And then right here, this value is the first quartile. So this would be Q1. It's the first quartile, which is the same as P25, which is right here. So it's the 25th percentile, or P25, capital P with a little 25. What that means is that 25% of the data values are here, right? You have, I better grab a different color pen. Here we go. 25% are in here, in this section. So 25% are in here. So you have 25, that was kind of shading. That's what I'm going for there. So 25% of the data values are there. So if there's 100 people that took this test, 25 of them are here. If there's 200 people that took this test, 50 of them are here. Make sense? All right, then the median is right here. Now you'll notice I didn't put it in the center, but it is in the center. I'll talk about that. But that's Q2, which is P50, which is also known as the median. The median is the value that has 50% below, right? Because this section had 25 and then this section has 25%. So 25% of the values fall in here. So that means 50% in total are below that value. So that makes the median very special. It's the 50th percentile, which would be P50, but that means it's the second quartile, because first quarter, second quarter, right? The first quarter is right here. It's that orange bit, 25%. Then the quartile marks off that bit. Then there's another quarter, and then the second quartile marks off the 50%. So it's Q2. All right, then the last one. Well, there's another 25% right here. And that means that this must be Q3, which is the 75th percentile. And then over here is the max. And again, there's another 25% right here. It's not that they're equally spaced in terms of what the numbers are. It's that they're equally spaced in terms of the percentage that's available for each one. So this is the 75th percentile, or P75. Each section, each quarter has 25% of the data values. And the quarters are cut off or marked off by those quartiles. The quartiles mark them off, right? Divide them up, right? Divide those quarters. I'm just going to put it right here. Divide up the, I don't think I can fit it in. I'll have to put it right here. Right? This is a quarter. Right? This is the first quarter, so this is the first quartile. This line right here, this vertical line where this hits on that number line, that's the quartile. 25% is below it. This is the second quartile, and then 50% in total is below that. The quartiles divide up the quarters. So the orange bits are the quarters, and the green bits, if you will, are the quartiles. Now, together, these 5 numbers, the min, Q1, matter of fact, let me highlight them. The min, Q1, Q2, Q3, and the max are so important that they have their own name called the 5-number summary. The 5-number summary is literally those 5 numbers. You list those 5 numbers. And in so doing, you're giving a really good summary of that data set. As a matter of fact, this is what I send out to my students after an exam. I will send them these 5 values. So they'll know the minimum value, that's the lowest score, Q1, median, Q3, and max. And when I do that, I'm giving my students a lot of information. So for example, suppose that I tell my students, hey, on the midterm, 39% was the lowest score, Q1 was, I don't know, 69%, the median was 86%, Q3 was, this is just an example, I'm just making this up, Q3 was 94%, and the maximum was 98%, or something like that. When I do that, I'm telling them, hey, the lowest person on the exam scored a 39. The highest person scored a 98. 25% of the students fall between these two values. 25% are between these two. 25% are here, and 25% are here. I can tell that half the class scored above an 86%. Half the class scored below an 86%, or 86 or less. Right? It's a lot of information that's given out with just 5 numbers. Now, I do have a warning for you. Before I go. So just so you can see, when you give the 5-number summary, you're giving a measure of center, because that's the median, right? The median is the center, right? If those students, when they see these scores, they'll be like, oh, the average was 86, right? So this is the average, right? The average is the median. That's the center. The spread, well, you can kind of see, hey, most students scored between 69 and 94, right? So you really can see that, and then you can see the range. So you can really tell a lot from having those numbers. So the spread is this distance, right? From Q1 to Q3, from this guy to this one, right? From here to here. And then the range, of course, is min to max, which is always valuable. I'll just leave that pink. Right? So from this value to this value. So it's kind of 2 different values of spread, right? The spread and the range. Now, one warning for you for anybody that's using a TI-84 and StatCrunch and by hand, which is I'm going to use StatCrunch and the calculator. I'm going to do it both ways. But there are times when they are calculated differently. It depends on whether there's an even number of data values or an odd number. So be careful if you're working in MyStatLab, if your instructor has you doing some MyStatLab, some of them are more correct than others. If you're using the TI-84, it does match the by hand method. MyStatLab is trying to be better about accepting the StatCrunch answers, but sometimes it doesn't take place. But just a warning, and they're not alone. Excel calculates them differently as well. So quartiles are kind of notorious as being calculated slightly different from program to program. All right, so we have the following data set is of a sample of Math 133 Exam 3 scores, which from winter 2014. Yes, these are real data. These were real students. This was a random sample of scores. And what we want to do is we want to find the min, the Q1, the median, Q3, and the max. And I'm actually going to do them, some of them by hand, and then I'm going to make StatCrunch do them. Okay, well, I put them in order, so that makes it really easy. The min is over here. It's the lowest data point, right? That's the min. And over here is the max. So I can tell right now, that's 93, that's 54. Done. Now the median would be this one right here, because the median has half the data points below it and half the data points above it, right? So that would be 84. And then the quartiles are actually the medians of their respective halves, right? But again, there's slight variations in how those are calculated, so we're just going to make StatCrunch do it. So I'm going to look for this data set in StatCrunch, so let me go find it. If I can get StatCrunch open. All right, so data sets. So I'm going to look up MAT 133, Chapter 3. Oh, I don't see it there. Let me grab it. Let me find it. Would you believe it or not, it matters whether there's a space between the Chapter 3 and not a space. So if I put a space in there, it doesn't find it. It finds these ones. But if I get rid of the space, It finds these ones. Okay, sure. That's fine. I'll try to put the link to this in the data or in the description to this video so it makes it easier for you. Okay, so I want the 5-number summary. So I'm going to go to Stat, Summary, Stat, Columns. That is the place we've gone for most of the data sets in this chapter, right? The only time we didn't do that was section 3.3 when things were grouped and binned into a frequency table. But if they're not grouped and binned, then you're going to do columns. You click the column, and down here you want to select the 5 numbers. So you have to click on them in order. I mean, they don't technically have to be in order, but I'm going to do them in order. So there's the minimum. That's the first of the numbers. If I scroll down just a touch, I can see Q1. So I'm going to hold down my control button and hit click. I believe for a Mac computer, that's a command button click, but make sure you check. There's the median. So I'm going to hit control click. Then I'm going to scroll a little bit more. There's the Q3, control click. There's the max, control click. And there they are. Min, Q1, median, Q3, max. Compute. There are the values. Just like I said they would be, right? Oh, maybe that's a little small for you to see. Let me zoom this in. There you go. So the median is indeed 84, just like I said. The max is 93. The min is 54. But there's Q1, it's 77. And there's Q3, it's 88. Okay? So we'll just write those down. So this is 77, and this is 88. Oop, I lost that window. 88. There it is. All right, those are found with StatCrunch. Okay, so with StatCrunch, let's write the path. So StatCrunch path one more time. You will definitely have to know how to do this, which is you go to Stat, Summary Stat, Columns, because all this data was a raw data set in one column. There we have it. So this is the average right there. So that's the center. And then from here to here is the spread, right? From 77 to 88. Most students score there. Center is 84. And then that's the range from 54 to 93. All right, now I didn't have this. This is new for, so spring 2023, if you're watching this video in that semester, I don't have this typed into the paper, but write it in. I'm going to add it for future semesters because I wanted to give us one more example with that quartile percentile script. So the thing about interpreting the value of Q3 is just a percentile. So you have to use your percentile script, right? Because all Q3 is a special percentile. That script we highlighted right here. We would say K% of the observations are less than or equal to that value, and then we give it context. So what's our percentage? Well, we have to remember that Q73, so recall, or excuse me, Q3, recall, Q3 is P75. So the percentage is 75%. So that's where we're going to begin with the script. So we'll say 75% of, we could say students or of exam scores of MAT 133 exam 3 scores, there's our context, were less than or equal to 88. And I'll just pretend, let's say this was points, right? So this was points right here, that's its unit. So that was what we would write there. So it's the percentile script, right? It's just that the Q3 is a percentile. Q3 is the 75th percentile, right? So you use this percentile script and you just interpret it for this problem. So there's the percentage, there's the context, and there's the value, right? So Q3, oh, I guess I should say, this is 75%. I don't want you to get confused here. 75% are below, it's technically at or below 88 points. Right? That's what we're trying to say down here. So 75% of the MAT 133 scores were less than or equal to that value right there.